What's going on, everyone? We're going to do some sharpening today. It's Saturday morning, Saturday lunchtime, and I was going to sharpen some stuff. But since we're not doing FFIB today, I figured I'll just do this live and that'll make up for it for now. But no one's here yet. Oh, hello, Eric Mason. Merry Christmas to you, Facebook user. We're going to do some sharpening today, guys. I don't know what I got to do. I got 3 packages that came in. I got completely caught up with my sharpening work, and then I didn't have any to do for like 2 weeks, and now I have some coming back in again. So we'll see what we got. I know there's something cool in the next box, but we're going to start with this. I do a lot of these actually, or Demcos in general, but an 80. What one is this one? Which Demco is this? It's titanium. It's made in Taiwan though. Is this a 20.5 still, or is it something different? I can't lie. These are fun to play with. Shark lock is pretty cool. The shark lock functions up here. You just pull back and the blade drops. Anyway, we're going to sharpen this today. This well, interesting, because one thing you have to look for whenever you sharpen, the first thing when you're setting up is you have to visualize where the stone is going to go and where you're going to hit stuff. So like right here, this thumb stud, if I don't set it up in the clamp correctly, I'll hit the thumb stud if the angle is too low, if it's like over here, and I'm trying to get that spot. So first thing I have to do is just make sure this like doesn't hit anywhere. So we'll set it up and see where it lines up. Hello, MJ Harrington. I don't know what it is. It's something. It's a Demco. I actually like it. I would never own a Demco. I think their blades are funky, but it's pretty fun. This one feels really solid. Oh, what up? Merry Christmas to you, Facebook user. Okay, let's get some chamois cloth. So when I sharpen in the jaws of my TS Prof Cadet, I put a piece of this stuff over the blade to protect it and to help keep it from moving around. And that works really well. I also plastic dipped these jaws, which I still use both together just in case, but now stuff really doesn't move around. So we're going to just lightly tighten it down. We're going to start. I always start with a 150 stone. If it's a new edge, this is where I start. This is what I profile with. There's no chips on it. It's factory edge. It'll be okay, I'm sure, but it might have some things that need to be profiled down. So that's why we'll start at 150. So I'm getting used to these stones again because my 150 is my most used stone. I use it to profile everything. But Sean Houston, Triple B Handmade, took this with him home this week, and I've used this stone a lot already, so it's kind of worn. The first layer of carbide loose. So he etched the surface, which kind of eats away any of a little tiny bit of the. This is a metallic bonded CBN, which means this is a solid piece of metal with all the little CBN throughout the structure. So when you have to remove a little tiny bit of the metal to expose new CBN, you're not really affecting the thickness or anything. You're just exposing new aggregate. So it cuts really fast now. Oh, look who joined us. So Sean, I did a Shaman and Rex 45 with this fresh CBN the other day, and it took a lot of material off really fast. So they definitely cut faster now by a lot. I'm getting used to it again. So we're going to see how this lines up. We're going to drop it down to around 20 degrees to start with. And as I'm setting up, what I'm looking for, you want to have the tip and the heel as parallel as possible to the jaw. But you also want to make sure you're not going to hit anything. So let's just see where this kind of lands. I need to get to the very, very end of the edge, which is on top of the thumb stud, but the thumb stud is short enough that as long as we keep the angle high, we won't hit it. So we're going to tweak this a little bit more. Get it a little more parallel. Tighten it down. Okay, so we're going to check what angle we're starting at. If you don't have an angle cube, you should get one. They're a very good reference. Even if you don't sharpen to specific angles, if you just sharpen with a Sharpie and then kind of see where it lands, it's still good to measure stuff with an angle cube just so you know for reference when you go back to sharpen it again where you sharpened it at the first time. It makes it way faster. So I set all my angles to 17 if I can, if it makes sense anyway. So it's really fast for me to go and touch up all my knives. So we're about at 20.5 degrees. We're going to see now how this removes marker. But before I forget, we're going to protect the base of the blade. So this edge has a sharpening choil. However, the sharpening choil ends and it immediately gets wider. So this is going to be a really surgically done heel. It needs to be very careful with how far you go back because you can really easily hit the part of the blade that you don't want to hit. You have about 1/8 of an inch clearance between, the blade ending and then the ricasso starting. And so when you have such a small area, I tape it off with electrical tape because electrical tape will mold to the shape of anything and it doesn't come off and it doesn't leave a residue. And so electrical tape is great for this. So I've protected where I don't want to sharpen on this side. Hey, Facebook user, if you want to make it say your name, go to the link on the top of this post. It says StreamYard and enable StreamYard, and you can have your name show up. Yeah, Demcos aren't my thing. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty open about that. They're fun though. I can't deny that. I just would never carry one. They just don't seem like their primary purpose is slicing things precisely, which is what I like about Spyderco. I do respect the fun factor, though. Okay, so we protected everything up to the sharpening choil, so we can't hit anything. So starting with 150, we're going to put marker on the edge. So my Knife Joker Sharpie official sharpening marker. And we're just going to take the stone, and we're going to drag it across the edge, and we're going to see if the it scratches the top of the bevel or the leading edge. So we're just going to take a quick pass. And right now, and this is what a fun edge is like. At the heel, it's touching the leading edge, and at the tip, it's touching the top of the bevel, which means the angle changes throughout throughout the thing, and we're going to have to sharpen that out. And we'll test the other side and see how it lines up. And this side is all touching the leading edge, which means we're too low. We're too high of an angle. When you're touching the leading edge, you want to be on the bevel and flat. So we're going to raise the angle like a degree or so. We're still touching the leading edge. We're going to go up a little bit more. And now we're getting close. Now we're going to flip it back to the other side and see how it kind of lines up with the Sharpie. This sometimes takes a while. Sometimes it's easy. This has got a funky grind that changes throughout the edge. So I have to pick an angle that's going to work the best on average, because the heel is a different angle as the tip. So we're going to have to bring them together. It looks like it's okay lined up. Let's see what angle we're at again. If we're near an angle, I like to just pick it. So we're close to 18, so we're just going to say this is going to be 18. I like to set it on an even number so I can remember when it's close, and it's really not a huge difference to reprofile a little tiny bit. Okay, we're going to try this at 18. Swipe it again. Looks like a pretty good setup. We're clearing everything. We don't hit the thumb stud, and the tape stops it before it hits anything at the heel. Oh, welcome, Hope. Sup, Balake. Thank you for joining us, Weston. Hi, Carl. Oh, I got all sorts of fun in here today. Oh, what's up, Facebook user? All right. So this is one of those cases where I'm not super happy about how the edge looks to start with. They're really not the same on both sides. I'm going to try going a little bit lower, actually. Let's try this at 17. So this is the part that is really important to take your time on. It's like really frustrating sometimes to try to find where your best spot is to put the angle, but it can make a huge difference in the total time it takes to sharpen and on the end result and how it looks and all that good stuff. So this is going to be one where we're really reprofiling this edge a lot. And we're just going to go with this and see how 17 degrees looks now. This is why I like doing spider codes though, so I don't have to do all this stuff. Looks like we're pretty well lined up at 17. So let's go with that. It barely clears the thumb stud, but it clears the thumb stud. So right now I'm profiling the edge. The Sharpie at the heel is touching only the tip, or touching the upper part of the bevel, which means we have to work it back to get all the Sharpie off. I don't just sharpen edges; I profile them to look even and flush. So like even if this part is technically sharp, I'm gonna eat a little bit of steel to lay the angle back to get it to be consistent throughout the edge. So now we're profiling it to make everything the same angle. Tips are fun. A lot of times when I'm doing a tip for a long time, like this one's going to take a minute, I'll put my finger underneath the edge. You won't really feel it rubbing on your finger, but it holds the stone in place so you don't round your tip. You don't run it off the edge. It's just a precautionary measure, but it makes it a lot easier to do. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of profiling this tip. So the middle of the edge is pretty well profiled, so now we have to concentrate on the tip and the heel to get all the Sharpie off. When all the Sharpie's gone, the edge will be profiled, and then we can move up to the next stone. So I'm going to work this edge for a little while, and then I've been on here for a bit. I'm going to flip it. And we're going to start this side. The reason is I don't want to keep on working this side and work the center line of the apex. I don't want to work one side and work one side. I want to make sure I'm keeping it even, so I'm not making one bevel small and one bevel big on the opposite side. So we've done enough on that side. Now we're going to do this side. This side is going to take some work, a lot of work. I don't remember what I usually sharpen Demcos to. I didn't realize it was this low though. So this one's tip is looking really nice. Looks like we already got it profiled. So now we're going to work the rest of the edge. Now the heel. So you get this heel. I'm actually going to cut a little bit of the chamois cloth off this snagging. Got to make sure the electrical tape is protecting everything and smushed in. And I'm going to push it up tight against the tape, which should theoretically stop the stone from touching anything. Electrical tape is abrasion resistant, which is why another reason I like it, because it takes a beating. You can scrub against it without eating through it too easily. It's in the very, very, very end of the heel right now. The way this knife is built makes it so you have to touch the knife almost to get the heel, which I love that. It's such a fun design when they make knives like that. Okay, we got that good enough. So this edge actually profiles quick. So what we're looking for is on an edge this bad. I'm not trying to get the burr on the first pass, but if you take your fingernails under the bottom of it, what you want to do is be able to feel a little edge, a little lip. That's called your burr. I created a burr through the whole edge, so this side's profiled. So I'll flip it back to the first side again. And now what we're doing is we're bending the burr back to the opposite side, and we still got some cleanup to do, especially at the heel. The other side went fast. I don't know why this side's being more difficult. And when you flip sides and you're at the right angle already, you'll feel the burr getting taken off. But like I flipped this over and I couldn't feel the burr because I'm not profiled low enough yet. In all the spots anyway. Okay. I think this might be close. Got a burr there. Still have some work to do at the tip. Oh, the profiling tips. I'm getting better at it. It's more patience and more steady-handedness for sure. I'm doing it the rest of the edge. It's looking pretty good. Let's go back. We're just going to do a quick couple passes on this side. This helps keeping us even. This one's tipped a little bit more. So now I flip that burr back over again. Now we're taking the burr off. We're flipping it back. I don't want to misform the bevel on this side. So I'm trying to avoid doing it too much all in one spot because it's taking some work to get down to the edge, but I think we're there finally. So I'm just going to kind of blend it in from the belly to the tip. Make it all nice and even. Let's see if we have a burr. Yep, we have a burr. A little bit more work on the heel. So what are you guys doing for Christmas? What's going on today? I'm just missed everyone so much. I'm not doing FFIB. I want to do a show. Talk to you guys. So what is going on? I think we are good. A little bit more on the heel. Kind of hard. This heel is pretty jacked up. I don't want to do it too much. So it's right tight against the tape. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to drop down stones to a 400 grit. So now what we're going to do is we're just trying to remove our scratches from the previous stone. and start to minimize the burr. So what I usually do is I do one pass forward, and then I'd start working it backwards and reverse my scratch pattern. And then once my scratch pattern's gone through what was existing, I go forward until I see all the scratches are lined up, and that means I know I hit the whole edge and everything's legit. Okay, flip it. Looking pretty nice. So now we're going to do one more pass on this side to reduce the burr. And now I have a choice. I can either leave this edge at 400 grit, and it will look like a nice factory Spyderco edge. It will cut very, very well. Or I can jump up to 800. It'll be about as sharp. It'll be a little bit shiny, but I won't have to work it on a strop as much because it will eat more of the burr down. It depends on the knife on what I do. Since this is a Demco and it's going to be used for cutting, I'm going to leave it at 400 grit. So now I'm going to keep on doing a couple 400 grit passes to downsize the burr with this stump. Just a couple quick more passes. And now we're going to pop her out. I'm going to run it on a strop. This strop has 3 micron gunny juice on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my edge, my angle. And find the angle by pushing into the leather as I raise the angle here. And then you find it, and you can kind of just feel when it's on the bevel, on a bevel like this anyway, where it's bigger. So now we're on the strop. We're trying to pull any of the rest of the burr off and straighten up the very edge, little bits of the edge. It's also going to give this some shine, but that's not the goal right now. So that's done. Now we're going to take off the tape. This one's kind of dirty, so I'm going to give it a little spray with some Gunny. This is Glow. Yeah, Gunny Glow. Gunny Glow is a great cleaner. I use it. I need more, actually. I'm almost out. A great cleaner for getting gunk off blades, making everything look nice. Now I'm just wiping it down. So if you use Sharpie on your edge, so see how I have Sharpie still on here? I overdrew the edge trying to find it. What we're going to do is you could wipe and wipe and wipe, and that would take forever to get off. But what you're going to use is you're going to use a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, and that will take the Sharpie right off. Be careful doing this. I've definitely cut myself more than once. Don't run down the edge because you just sharpen this damn thing. You want to pull off the edge. Don't swipe too much like that. So I pretty much do this to every knife I sharpen. I just clean up the blade, get any smudges off of it, make it look its best before I present it back to its owner. So checking on the heel, making sure I didn't hit the ricasso, which I did not on this side, and I did not on this side. That is the biggest mistake I see sharpening. I do it myself occasionally, and it sucks. It's hitting right there. That's a bummer when your stone goes too far and hits the ricasso. So it's really important to use tape or something to protect you from overextending your stone. So now the test, you gotta see if it's sharp. Oh yeah. So now what I'm doing is pulling it from heel to tip to see if I feel anything. And there's a spot right towards here. Feels like there's a little bit of burr or something. It's not quite smooth. Just gonna drag it across the strap a few more times. That got it out. Just a little artifact or something that was left there. And now it is nice and curly Q cutter. That's how I like an edge. Yeah, this is nice. Low angle, great for slicing paper. This is, I think we landed at 17 degrees on this edge, which is the same as the Spyderco degree. Okay. So now the next step I'd do, if I wasn't on camera right now, is I would take a video of it and I would message it to the owner and say I'm done and say how much they owe and then get paid and then box it up and ship it off. But I'll do that later. Next package. So this came from one guy. There's another knife in here that I'll do later. I want to see what's in this other package though. My official box opening knife from R&H Construction, where I used to work. I had these made for my crew. Every time we'd finish a job, I'd get everyone knives. And I became known as the knife guy at work, which was kind of cool. And then it got out of control and they had to stop it because people were buying like infidels for their jobs and stuff, which are just silly. Okay, see how this guy wraps. Okay, good. It wasn't taped to the side. Please don't tape your knives to the side of the box. Find some better way to secure them. That it sucks taking them apart like that. This one wasn't. So we have a, oh my goodness. We have a large Sabenza with the Spidey hole mod. I want this. I've never handled one of these before. This is great. I want this. Man, I just like Chris Reeve. This is a badass knife. Well, that's fun. Well, now I'm all nervous. Do this thing on video. Let's take a coffee break and read some comments. You do a kickflip on your one wheel. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, this is a pretty cool knife. Well then, let's take a sip. the jaws up pretty wide. So on this one, since we have a flat area here, we're going to try to clamp it here as much as we can, because we're going to take use of the flat. Make sure it stays centered better. Okay, now we're going to see. I'm going to twist it a little bit. Now we're going to see if the stone clears and where it hits. And it hits right here. And on this knife, that would suck. Probably wouldn't do much with this finish, but it sucks hitting that part of the handle with the stone and scratching it. So we don't have a ricasso to deal with, which is nice. The end of a Spenza edge just ends. So it's easy to sharpen, but we have to contest with hitting the handle. So we'll just cover it up. Okay, if my memory serves me, Sabenzas are usually about 20 degrees from the factory. Let's see if that's accurate. Drop this down from 17 to 20. When you change the angle on a cadet, you have to re-zero the cube, because this point where the stone is resting on the edge doesn't stay in the same spot. So you can't just move this up and down. You have to re-zero it. It'll be off by like a quarter of a degree. So now we're on dead on 20. Now we'll see what it looks like on the marker. And it takes it right off at 20. So yeah. Sabenzas are sharpened at 20 degrees because this is perfect. Other side. Oh, this is beautiful. So this is the difference between some brands of knives. This edge from the factory is profiled. It's the same angle at the heel and the tip, which is not the same as that Demco. The Demco is not, I don't know, this is an American-made knife. It's much nicer, but this is an example of an edge that I could start at a higher grit probably. I probably could start this at 400 grit instead of 150 because I don't have a lot of material to remove, but I like everything to look nice and neat, quick, so we're still going to use the 150, but this is a nice edge. Our tip is a little bit, there we go. Oh, this is the 400 stone. Let me switch. Felt a little soft. That's better. Oh, one thing you need to check is your stop collar. This right here. So for the most part, you don't have to move it more than ½ inch or an inch ever. But make sure your stop collar keeps your stone from riding up onto the face of the blade. So that's as far as it will go. It leaves barely any hanging off. So what I'm going to do is, because this is kind of taller, I'm going to move it up a little bit. Just to make sure. Then I'm going to sweep it across the edge, make sure it stays off the face. So big precaution to take. Stop color. Make sure you have one. So the only part of the edge that really needed to get down was the belly and the very tip, and they didn't need a lot of work. We're just taking off all the Sharpie. This side is coming off real easy. Not a lot of work on this side at all. But we do want to make sure we work both sides of the edge to make sure that we don't grow one bevel on one side too tall. Keep the apex in the center of the blade profile. Now this edge is looking really nice on this side. Make sure the heel's nice and ground in. See if we have a burr. Sometimes S35 can be kind of hard to feel a burr on, to be honest, but we're going to flip it. What's going on, guys? Who is going to a Christmas party this weekend? I am going to one, kind of a family one tonight. No drinking for me, though, so I don't really go to holiday parties anymore. I do miss that. That was fun. So now we're pretty well profiled, but I'm just trying to raise a burr, make sure I have apex the edge. This feel, in my experience, can sometimes be hard to feel in Chris Reeves if I've got a burr and I just have to move up and trust that it's getting sharp. Yeah, it's hard to feel. So we're going to keep on sharpening until one more time. Okay, I've got to believe that's apex. It doesn't feel like there's any burr, but I know it's there, a little tiny one. It's hard to feel. It's there. So now I can feel the burr when I sharpen over it. You know what? I better check what kind of edge this dude wants. See if I need to do a mirror. Yep, this guy wants a mirror. So I need to make sure I've gotten all the scratches out, because when I move up, it's got to be gone. So lining up all my scratches now. Let's do one last pass on this side. Okay. I'm now going to move it to 400 grit. I use Hapstone Premium CBNs. I have a set. They are amazing. They changed everything for my sharpening game. They made this possible to do professionally and enjoy it and not have equipment wear out, get killer results. Totally worth the money. They're like $65 a piece, which is not bad considering you could get away with having just 2 stone. If you wanted to buy just the 150 grit stone, you could have 1 stone and you could get stuff sharp with 1 stone. They're fantastic set. So now we'll move it to 400. So 400 grit finish is really nice. I've started to enjoy it. This steel is finishing really beautifully. Now we're trying to minimize the burr we created on the first pass and just line up the scratches. Started doing 2 passes at 400 grit. Okay. So for a mirror, if I just want a sharp edge for a customer at this point now, I would take it off and I would do this. But I want a mirror, so we're going to go up to 2,000 grit. So next stone's 800. And these stones work surprisingly fast to get rid of scratches. It's kind of crazy. So I'm just going to do 1 pass per side with the 800 grit stone. Spend about, I don't know, 30 seconds or so working each side. Once you get past profiling, and it goes pretty fast. And honestly, I probably even go too long. Even spend 30 seconds aside is plenty. If you're just trying to get an edge, it's totally fine. If you're just trying to get rid of every single scratch, it's still probably excessive if you have good stones. Okay. Final stone. $2,000 grit. We're just going to give this a little 30 seconds of just scrubbing at 2,000 grit. The mirror comes out now. So at 2,000 grit is, people are funny about using that word. A lot of people I know at Sharpen don't like to use the word because it implies there's no scratches. That's what it is though. A mirror edge to me is, this is good enough at 2,000 grit. It's a polished edge. That's what I call it to avoid confusion. But for all purposes, it's a mirror. So that's mirrored. And getting a mirror edge is really this easy. It's not, it's just right equipment and the right technique, a little practice. It's really quick to get a mirror. So the mirror's coming out right now on this edge. It's basically there. And when we're done with the stones, we'll move on to the strop and see how much we can shine it up. Okay, now we're done with the Spy Benza. Let's give it a quick strop. Just drop it with 1 micron gunny juice. So this makes the edge really come to life. Makes the shine come out like big time. It also makes it sharper. To a point. You can definitely overdo it, so we're good. Take the tape off. Final result. So it's not totally scratchless by any means. Like if you look at the right angles, you can see scratches. But that's what I do for a polished edge. I can go higher in stones, but it really doesn't get much better than that. You can strop more. You can do all sorts of crap. That's where I stop, because if you strop a lot, you get less sharp quick. So I try to minimize my stropping to just removing the burr and giving it a little bit of shine. I don't like to just go forever because you get less sharp, you get less aggressive, it gets less easy to cut paper, and that's the fun thing. I like to sit around and slice. Nice. I love it because I have like tinnitus kind of, and it makes that sound go away in my ear, which is nice. That's why I sharpen sometimes, because it's bothering me. Well, anyway, it's been almost an hour. I can take some questions or do whatever. That was fun. This knife is badass. Might have to talk to the owner about this. Oop, almost got myself. Anyway, I guess that's about enough. Thank you all for joining me on this little lovely Saturday afternoon. It was fun. We got 2 knives done. I made a little bit of money. You guys watched me do it. Win-win. Anyway, have a great Christmas, and I will see you next weekend.